Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game.
You're right, like racquetball.
Let's meet the panel.
I'm Dan.
I'm Kaila.
I'm confused. Charlie.
And I'm Josh.
I am confused.
And it is great to be back after taking a 2-week siesta. And Dan, you did a great job filling in for me
Yes.
the last 2 weeks. And,
Yes, means sleep, right?
what's that?
Yeah, nap.
If you're asleep for 2 weeks, that's a
He was
coma.
taking a little nap.
So he's in a coma.
So, anyway.
As you can see, Charlie has another prop this season.
I'm confused, folks.
The reason that I got this for Charlie is because
For this whole purpose.
in order to help wipe away the tangents. Or brush away the tangents, whatever you do.
Really? Thanks,
I
guys.
think toilet brush wipes more away than just tangents.
Well, I can use this for something else, so can I keep this?
Yeah.
Really? Are you sure? I'll
You
pay
can
for
keep
it. Great, because I have a good use
All
of
right.
this.
We're going to be going over The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is brilliant.
He is.
He is one of speculative fiction's finest writers. And to start off the discussion, I came up with this question. The Martian Chronicles was released as a finished product in 1950. They're interconnected short stories. And not only did it speculate on what the future may possibly hold, but it also touched upon issues that were taking place in the present. Do you feel that this book still has a sense of relevance to today's issues?
Yes.
I have to say, in a way, yes, because I think one of the big debate topics now is immigration, and this is kind of deals with something kind of like immigration. I mean, obviously the thing is, it's not us going to another planet or another planet coming to us, but the thing is immigration is still a big topic in today's world.
Psychological elements, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Because I think that I think that page 73, where the chapter called The Settlers, does the best to illustrate our need to be around other humans, because we have this psychology that when the first few people immigrate or emigrate to a specific area, okay, let's see how well they do. Well, I'm pretty comfortable where I am. But when people start to immigrate or emigrate in the masses, you begin to feel that sense of this disease that Bradbury refers to called the loneliness. And he says, and I quote, and this disease was called the loneliness because when you saw your hometown dwindle the size of your fist and then lemon size and then pin size and vanish in the fire wake, you felt you had never been born. There was no town, you were nowhere with space around, nothing familiar, only other strange men.
I read, real quick, I read that line over and over again. It's amazing how he can play with words, and they come out like gold. They come out golden, basically. Everything he says is wrapped in gold, because that's how good of a writer he is.
Yeah, he is.
He's dead.
The way that he,
Thanks for rubbing it in.
the way that he,
I'm not putting my mouth on it.
What?
the way that he words things and the way that he describes things and the thoughts that he brings up.
Brilliantly,
just
brilliantly elegant.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that much is.
10 of these out of 10.
I don't know
But-
what I'd have.
I think it's really not just because of the immigration thing, which is a really good point. I think it's incredibly relevant to today too, because it's no longer a pipe dream that we colonize Mars. It's damn near within our grasp at this point. So I think that the realities that they're faced with in the book are things that we're eventually going to have to deal with in the future. Are we the reason that this planet is dying and that we have to find a new one? Are we going to do the same thing to another planet that we've done here?
Are we going to basically, and I think that was with the first couple, or maybe not the first, but maybe the second, when they had the group, I think, of 50.
Mm-hmm.
And they, the one, I forgot, there were so many characters.
There were so many expeditions too.
Yeah, there were.
So it is a little hard for me to keep track, I'll admit. But there was this one character, he just wanted a party the whole time. What's his name?
Hardy?
And that when they first got there,
Mhm.
they get off the ship, and then he had
Williams? John?
I think that's how he
I know
got.
who you're talking about. I can't
Yeah,
remember his name.
and then but they were with this other guy who was not so right in the head, and I say that not out of disrespect, but I just say that because that's what happened. He went on killing everybody in the group.
Yes, yeah.
He was with that
Oh.
Spender.
Yeah.
Spender.
Oh, Spender, yes.
Spender.
It was,
But I'm talking about the
I know who you're talking
yeah.
about. It was...
He had he wanted the beans and the ham and I think beer.
It was...
Basically, he just wanted to party the whole time.
Right.
And when you have
Wilder?
Wilder, thank you. Wilder, wild. There might be a play on word there.
Mhm. But I think
Yeah.
I think one of the first, when Captain Williams went there,
Yeah.
his first expedition, he was so arrogant about, aren't you going to recognize us?
Yeah.
We're here, we're Earthlings. I think a lot of people can argue we're Americans.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at us.
Isn't
But
that seemingly significant in today's society?
I think there's a lot of just my favorite chapter after the settlers. When I read it for the first time, it was the taxpayer. The taxpayer being denied the opportunity, despite the fact that he paid for them to go up there.
Yeah.
Which that's very relevant. That's eternally relevant,
yes.
or as far as we know, will be eternally.
I do like how, like, in this book, he kind of gives us, like, he kind of plays on the idea that maybe there was life on Mars, but it somehow got wiped out.
Right.
Which, I think in the book, it mentions, like, they were wiped out by, like, a disease or something like that.
Chickenpox.
And that's what it was?
Whole things.
Something along, between the chickenpox and the whole, which is very, very reflective of the American Indian tribes,
Yeah.
because we brought over our European diseases. It's what is known as the Columbian Exchange.
Yeah, the thing is, here we see that the Martians, the original Martians, were all wiped out by the disease.
Right.
Because they're
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, they couldn't handle it as well as humans could handle it.
Yeah.
But
So how does that make you feel?
Different
I mean, we're
immune systems,
lucky.
different diseases.
We're lucky we didn't get wiped out by one of their diseases. You're going to a Martian planet and you don't know what we're gonna pick up.
they did. I know that despite that, they were knocked down. They were. The Martians were able to shoot them down pretty quickly.
Yeah,
But the best one was when they masqueraded as their family
Yes.
and
Yeah.
manipulated them
Yeah.
into killing them, which
Yeah.
was
Sad.
I thought it was a little screwed up,
the
too.
third expedition where they were being reunited, and then they also and then when they're in the mental institution and we've been to Earth before, we've been to America.
Yeah,
And
I'm from
They
Saturn. I'm from Jupiter.
couldn't really. They were able to
Yeah.
expose them pretty quickly because they couldn't figure out
They
the
thought.
minuscule details.
Yeah,
And
they thought they
it
were.
turns out they were crazy.
Yeah, but they were in a. They thought they were being welcomed into a big reception, and they even
Right.
gave a speech. Well, I'm the captain, so and so. This is my group, and then they all went out, and they got a round of applause.
Captain Williams was so pompous, he was laughable.
I thought I was laughable. I mean, look at me for crying out loud. I mean, then again,
That's supposed to wipe away the
it's
tangents.
supposed to wipe away everything too.
You weren't using it correctly.
Shut up, Faith.
Martian Chronicles covers so much, whether it be racism, capitalism, creeps,
Nuclear war.
nuclear war, yes, the ideas of family and friend values, because that was quite something that a vast majority of them wanted to. Is it running? Okay. A vast majority of them wanted to return to Earth when nuclear war broke out, as opposed to
Yeah, to help out.
yeah, they wanted to. They were still thinking about their family and friends when that seemed to be a contrast when it came to the immigration and the emigration, because during that great wave of immigration during late 19th and early 20th century, once people started immigrating to America, they really didn't hear much from those back in their home areas. I know that in my family, those that came over from Italy, there was a great cutoff. A lot of once you got to a certain point, there was no interaction. So it was quite something that they had that opportunity to go back. But I think it also, and I felt a great sense of, I could feel the abandoned area during the later parts of the history.
Yeah, it really makes you feel the emptiness and, as we said before, like the loneliness of those emptied colonies and settlements.
You know, if I had 2 of these, I could play the drums.
I think just about I could figure that for sure. But yeah, nobody would want to live on a planet with Swip or Genevieve Seltzer.
Oh God, no.
But as much as
I mean, if
Swip,
there's none of this, I'm out. Sorry.
as much as Swip was a bit shallow in his disposition, I could not blame him for running out on Genevieve.
Yeah.
So
The one chapter with regards to capitalism, and they had a
the guy that wanted to open up a hot dog stand.
yes, and then also the one with the hardware store.
Oh, that was
That-
racism was
Yeah,
its big thing.
that was no holes barred there. I should not have said that.
It was the late 40s, early 50s, which this was during the heat of the Cold War. It was the rising of the Cold War, and racism. We were still under. There were still Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, there was like
It
was the segregation, right? This is before like Martin Luther King and all that. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So I think I think maybe he's kind of trying to make a parallel between like us and the Martians with the kind of racism, kind of like the segregation.
Mhm.
I mean, it not like not
I
in
think
detail.
the
but
Martians were more. I think a greater comparison can be made with the Martians and the American Indian tribes, or the way that we treated them, because we emigrate to an area and then take it over the way that we usually do.
Right.
I mean, things a lot of countries do that. Like
Yeah.
Japan did that too. Like
I mean, yeah, it's colonists taking over areas from indigenous peoples.
I mean, if you think about it, that's how like a lot of the world today weren't the original habits of that
Unfortunately,
that's-
country.
Yeah.
and I always was told it's got to get worse before it gets better, and I'm not going to say anything more on that. But if it's going to get any worse than it is now, it's better. And I'm talking about current events now. It's got to start to get better. But also, this book was a big open hand slap to the face too.
Well, we
for
don't have
me.
nuclear war though. I don't want that.
Yeah, no one wants that.
I think another strong part as a bibliophile and a reading enthusiast is the fact that they, just like in Fahrenheit 451, they banned books in this one too, and they burned them.
Yeah.
They didn't go, it wasn't the area of concentration, but
Is that like a common thing he has, like burning books?
It might.
it's
Because I've
a,
noticed that in a lot of his work.
it's a
more than
common,
just these.
it's a common fear. I think that,
The burning of literature and history, I guess.
censorship.
Yeah, and the banning of knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that kind of
Because
sense.
Because
they rewrote things in Fahrenheit 451 after they banned and censored and burned the books.
Yeah.
But
if you can think you're the enemy, that was.
Usher was a
Yep.
pretty. I enjoyed Usher based off of the fact that
the rapper. Just kidding.
Usher. It was inspired by the
Safe
Fall
Usher.
and House of Usher, and then it also reflected Edgar Allan Poe's other works.
That was a fun chapter.
Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah, that was fun.
He, the person that was inspecting the place, he locked him in, and it was the premature burial.
Yeah. But that was a fun chapter. I read that a few times. And I could not put the book down.
What I really loved about this is that the book kind of comes full circle at the end.
Mhm.
You know, that we discover that at the end the humans are now the Martians.
Yep.
Yep.
And I absolutely love that because the thing is, you can read the book over and over again, and it's basically like the theme of history repeats itself.
Because once you become a
History repeats
citizen
itself.
of a particular area, that's what you become. That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could be a person of Earthling descent, but once you begin to inhabit Mars,
You're a Martian.
you're a Martian. Yep, that's same thing with the Andy Weir book, which is often mixed with this. The Martian refers to the person that was living on Mars because he was stranded on Mars.
It also brings up another question. It makes me wonder, like, with the original Martians, were they other inhabitants that became Martians? Were there Martians before them, or it kind of leaves like a lot of mystery to that.
There is a lot that
Yeah.
you can explore, and I think that this is speculative or science
Yeah,
fiction.
well, since it comes
for
full
that
circle, it
reason.
makes me wonder: has this happened before?
Has it
Well, you said it earlier, history repeats itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It
It's
could
like,
very well.
what, is it the first instance that we're seeing, or has this happened before? Is
Right.
basically what my question.
Oh,
is.
But then
I'm
again,
so
what really defines, because before the American Indians and the natives came to America, it was they were here about 12,000 years into the past, but before that, it was when the whole world was Pangea. We were all nomads, so technically there was no citizens per se. It was just everybody took turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have, and there was no, as far as I can tell, there was no governments back then. They were just small towns, little communities. That's it.
I mean, the
and
things
then
like
it
there's
just, and
probably
then it grew and it grew and it grew.
Yeah, things were pretty vicious. If you read Gilgamesh, you can tell that people were humans were barbaric.
I do want to read that.
I'm not
Women were
barbaric.
property and nothing more.
That's not nice.
It isn't, but that's the way it was.
And you know what? I've said this before in other, and it doesn't relate to this, but I've said it before in other works. It's women, you know. And I think we're going to be talking about in a future episode the what was it, Life in the Iron Mills?
Yes.
Stay tuned. I'm in that one. Oh, that's going to scare them away. I think.
Spoiler, Charlie. Spoiler. Take this one.
No.
I know.
Alrighty then.
Okay, well.
Do we have any? Do we have any final thoughts?
Well, that was actually my final thought. You know, a great book. I would rate it if we were going to rate it. I would give it a solid 5.5 if I could. 5.5. That's how good it was. And but yeah.
What would you give it, Dan?
As a rating,
Yeah.
I actually really like this. Probably one of my favorite by Ray Bradbury. But I have to give it I have to give it a 5. Definitely a 5. Yeah.
I agree. I would give it a 5. I love Red Bradbury in general, but this is.
He loves you too, I'm sure.
Oh, I hope so.
Me too.
I really enjoyed this work.
I'm giving it a 5 as well. This is the second time that a Ray Bradbury work gets 4 5s on the panel.
He's a
But-
terrific writer. Wow.
Why I'm giving it a 5? I read it back in 2012. I gave it a 5 and it ranked on my top 10 list for the year. But the reason that I'm giving it a 5 again is because this is a book that I'm going to continue thinking about.
Me too.
I can break it down. There's so much that I can look into, and it made me feel so many different things.
And the fact that it's still relevant today.
It is still relevant
Yeah,
today. I think there are things that aren't necessary. I think Fahrenheit 451 got under my skin more, but
That's my job.
I think that the Martian Chronicles, there are parts to it that can really be discussed, compared, contrasted. It's just Ray Bradbury definitely made readers think. He used any and every kind of method. He used
Isn't he, could we just consider him a literary master?
yes,
Yes.
There we go.
I would say so.
This is a quickie, by the way. It's just a quickie on here.
Alrighty then. If you're interested in checking out
Oh,
the
I
book,
found out.
here is a copy that I have of Martian Chronicles. And I would highly suggest that you check it out. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Squeegee, squeegee.